Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition of After the Whistle. As you can see, the setup is different. Today is our last show of the year, so we're just switching it up. We got new kit here that we're using, so, last show of the year. And look who came back to join us. Alana. She's here. She's happy. Granted, she's not in her seat, but
we're switching it up.
Todd's here, fresh off a victory over Saugus last week. We'll talk about that later in the show. But what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Good. Glad to be back. Glad to talk about my Saints.
I'm living better than dying, man.
Holiday shopping done yet? Christmas shopping done?
I stopped tomorrow.
I think the items are still at the store, so.
I ain't getting nothing until after Christmas, but whatever. Let's get right into it. There was a record broken on Monday. Drew Brees, he set the NFL record for most touchdown passes in a career. He threw 4 touchdown passes. He now has 541. Granted, when he broke the record, it got called back, so he had to do it again off a bogus call. The refereeing in this game was horrible, as it's been all season, but Drew Brees is going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
Yeah, definitely. I think him and Tom Brady are going to be going back-to-back with this record just because they're both playing at a high level. And I stopped watching the game probably at halftime just because it was 20-0. 20-0, so. But kudos to Brees, man.
Mm-hmm. It was a blowout. Even Tom Brady tweeted, "Congrats, Drew. Couldn't be more deserving. Passing Peyton in anything is an incredible achievement, and your records will be tough to beat, but it's worth trying." And put a winky face.
Because he has a chance to break that record this Saturday.
Yeah.
Against the Bills. So I think the last 2 games of the season, it might be like a nip and tuck between Brady and Brees about the records because Brady could break it, then Brees could break it again, and then it's just going to be back and forth. That's interesting.
But my only thing is that I could just imagine the tension that's happening in the Colts, the locker room, just to see, because it was a blowout, 7 penalties. It was, probably just be interesting.
I mean, if they learn how to run a balanced offense, they'd be all right.
I think this team is just, they had their highs, but they got some issues that they need to figure out, and everything's just like collapsing for them because they were so promising at one point, but everything now is collapsing. Injuries, their defense isn't playing well, their quarterback has been struggling the past couple weeks, so it's just been the end of the season, November and on for the Colts has been quite difficult, and then there was some games that they should have won that they lost, so this is why they find themselves at 6-8 and out of the playoff race. So, but they can't be mad at anything that's happened to them this season. Just for them to get 6 wins. From everything that happened before the season started, is crazy.
And neither team turned the ball over. No kicks were missed. It was competitive. And
also, Michael Thomas, he has 133 receptions now. He's 10 receptions away from breaking Marvin Harrison's single-season record of 143. A lot of people don't say Marvin Harrison's name because of some other stuff.
Yeah, that man had one issue his whole career, bro. At the end of his career.
But his...
They found out he was a goon for real.
A goon, okay. That's the word we're using.
That is, but Thomas, I think the Saints' offense is like an offensive player's dream because that offense is a pass-happy offense. They throw it a lot, and you get chances to catch a lot of passes.
Right, it's a dream team. And, we've talked about that last year, just seeing how this team comes together, and they continue to run the ball. They know where to be. It's literally a dream team.
Yeah, I could say that. But they are pass-happy, but they also run a balanced offense.
Yeah.
They ran the ball 33 times last game. So it allows Brees to be Brees because it allows it forces the defense to be on their toes.
Now let's see if they could do that in the playoffs because sometimes they don't like to run when they need to run when it's most important. We're not going to talk about that. All right. Lamar Jackson has sealed the MVP candidacy or the MVP race with his performance against the Jets. He had another outstanding performance. He passed Michael Vick for most rushing yards in the season by a quarterback, threw 5 touchdowns, and the defense just it was a scrimmage for them because the Jets are just that team that, those guys are already ready to pack it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could definitely see that since you gave the ball to Bell 21 times for only 87 yards. Like, what has he been doing all season? Why did he even hold out?
Why even give him that big contract?
That too.
Questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, big time. But the Ravens right now are in prime position to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and this is going to be a good thing for them because the road coming through to the playoffs in Baltimore, they play tough there. They got 12 Pro Bowlers on defense. This team better go to the Super Bowl if you got 12 Pro Bowlers on your team. There's no reason for you not to be in the Super Bowl with all that talent and the way they've been playing all season because they've only lost one home game all season.
How many the Pats got?
The Pats.
I know the Pro Bowl things came out.
Oh, they got 3.
3? Only 3 on the defense?
Pats got 3. All defense. 2 defensive players and 1 special teams. No offensive players.
Oh, surprising.
Yeah, very surprising. But, I mean, more so for Jackson, this team, all they got to do is win out and they have the number 1 overall seed. And I've seen crazy things happen in the playoffs. They got the lonely Browns coming in, so that should be a scrimmage because I think the Browns kind of packed it in already.
Yeah, they definitely did, especially after the last game.
It was a disappointing season for them, but I'm just looking up Lamar Jackson's numbers total for the season because he has I think he's over 3,000 yards passing he's going to get over 3,000 yards passing and he's going to have probably 12 to 1,300 yards rushing. I don't think that's ever been done by a quarterback.
No, not at all.
So,
No, not at all.
Yeah, MVP Lamar Jackson.
Definitely. I just hope he doesn't get that crucial hit this season that we've all been talking about.
Yeah.
They've been utilizing his feet and his arm a little too much, I think. So hopefully he ends the season off well.
Yeah.
At least healthy, I say.
Yeah, this is true. All right, Buffalo Bills. They've clinched the playoff berth for the second time in 3 years, and they have a chance to get the AFC East. I don't know who was the last team to win the AFC East besides – wait, I think I do. I think the Dolphins won the AFC East back in 2008 or something like that.
I think it was 2007 because they were predicted to win the Super Bowl in 08, I think. I could be wrong, though.
It was the year Brady got hurt. Was out with a torn ACL. It was after their perfect season. The year after their perfect season.
That might have been 08.
Yeah.
08.
That's the last time I can remember a team not named the Patriots win the AFC East. And we actually got to match up the Patriots and the Bills this Saturday. This is for all the marbles, kind of, sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of.
I mean, all we know is that the Steelers, they allowed 4 sacks, produced 5 3-and-outs, turned the ball over 5 times. It was just,
Duck Hodges was throwing ducks out there.
Yes. He threw the ball 38 times.
And 4 interceptions. Some of those interceptions were bad, too. It looked like he was just throwing it up. And the Bills got one of the best defenses in the league. And it was... Some of those passes is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But this is, I don't know. You can't expect much from young quarterbacks.
But question, though, for you to have 5 turnovers, how do you only win by 7?
Because the Bills offensively aren't that good.
Right.
And that's what it makes me wonder, I don't really think they might be that much of a challenge against the Pats, personally.
I don't think so. The outside world thinks they're that, they could be a sleeper team, but I've said all season, I think their quarterback is trash. Granted, he's played well this season, but I still think he's trash, and he can't complete the ball over 60% of the times. He's an under 60% completion percentage guy. So you're not going to win much with him.
I mean, you're not that good if the team gives you 5 extra possessions and you score 17 points.
So who do you think is going to win against the Bills? Bills or Pats?
Oh, we never go against the Patriots here.
That's blasphemous.
Yeah.
Hey, I had to throw the question out.
But if you've seen the Bills' record versus Brady's record against the Bills, he pretty much owns them. But I'll give the Bills this. The past 4 or 5 meetings, they've held Brady in check. Brady's been struggling against their defense. But the Bills' offense is not going to do much because the first time they played, Josh Allen was giving the ball up freely. He was just throwing it to the Patriots defenders. So this game might be more the same. I have no faith in the Bills. I'm not like everybody else. So,
no faith.
No faith whatsoever. I don't trust their quarterback. I don't
trust.
Only thing I like about Buffalo, New York is Griselda.
This guy, man.
Next.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the record label.
I know. I was actually listening to it. we skipped the Pats. The Pats beat the Bengals. It was a get me right game for the Pats because they on a 2-game losing streak. They decided to keep the game close so everybody could stop with this whole cheating stuff, I guess. Whatever,
Right. But Tom Brady, he struggled a little bit.
There's issues on that offensive line with that team. There's issues.
I think it came under pressure.
Yeah.
Struggling a lot. 15 completions on 29 attempts for 128 yards.
It ain't good. It's not. That's not good. But at this point, I'm just like, listen. Just, as long as you guys win and you get the number 2 seed, you'll be fine because crazy things happens in the playoffs. You could be god awful during the regular season, but once the playoff comes around,
It's a whole different man.
yeah, a whole different story, and experience helps.
And it also helps that your defense wins games for you.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like relax a little bit. Not saying that Tom Brady comes in the game not trying to win, but he knows his defense is going to give him some points every game.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's about time the defense had to carry the team. They've been carried by Brady for so many years, and also
He has put that team on his back time and time again.
yeah, we could have
Right.
he could have 3 extra Super Bowls if defense got to stop.
This is true. Especially
One stop.
helmet pass, man. Oh,
One. Asante Samuel dropping an interception that was thrown right to him. Don't get me started. But the Patriots, Pedro, if we could look at that AFC playoff standings right now, right now, if the playoffs were to start today, the Patriots and the Ravens would have the bye. Obviously, the Ravens would have the number one seed, and then Bills, Texans, Steelers, Kansas City. So this would be the AFC playoff picture if it started today. And
Wow.
yeah, and this is the NFC. The fact that the Cowboys would get a home game if they win the NFC East is an abomination. But I look at these teams, and I'm telling you, it's a 3-team race: Ravens, Chiefs, and Patriots. Because the Texans, we've already seen. I've had enough of the Texans, to be honest with you. I've had enough of the Texans, and
There you guys have it.
and Buffalo, Josh Allen starting his first playoff game. I guarantee you, he's going to throw 5 picks. But
Okay.
that's just me.
Let's see.
All right. Let's go over to the NFC, and who is going to win the NFC East? Well, first let's look at this. This is the playoff standing. If it would start today, San Francisco would have to go on the road to Dallas, and Green Bay. Green Bay still has a chance to get the number 1 seed. Also, New Orleans has a chance to get the number one or number 2 seed.
right now,
Some
who's
of
that?
some of those teams over there got the first and second seed got to lose, but it says the NFC. It's like a 4-team race. I can see the Vikings. I can see everybody except the Cowboys making it to the Super Bowl
I could see that.
because all those teams are solid. So, speaking of the NFC, let's talk about the NFC East. First, we'll talk about the Eagles and how they had to. Basically, it came down to the last play with about 30 seconds remaining for them to beat the lowly team in Washington. And I'm gonna say, I think this was good for them. This was good for them. This was good for Carson Wentz that he was able to march down the field after doing it Monday night against the Giants to lead them to victory. I think this is kind of something you could get momentum from this. Granted, that team is just got issues, but something like this could have kind of helped them get a little momentum.
I mean, I was happy for him when they won the game, even though I don't root for him at all. But when Carson Wentz has had a difficult year, and it really ain't all his fault, but he's the quarterback, so the blame gets thrown on them.
When you can't catch the ball, when your receivers can't catch the ball, it's
Maybe those too high.
Questionable.
very questionable. And also, when your receivers can't stay healthy, they've had so many receivers come in and out of that lineup. So
Yeah.
I don't. But this was a big momentum for them. Now 7-7, they still have a chance. No, despite how horrible they've been all season, they have a chance at the division.
And I'm happy for them, honestly.
I'm not happy for them. I don't care about.
Okay. All right.
Let's not be happy for them. I'm just
I don't even like talking about certain teams.
Yeah, give me the heebie-jeebies.
We have to. So we do.
From one lowly NFC East team to another lowly NFC East team, the Cowboys finally beat a good team. They finally beat a team with a winning record. They basically blew out the Rams, and the Rams, we talked about it last week. They did what they normally do best for them to win. They gave Todd Gurley the ball, play action, and then they show up and they didn't do that this game.
I didn't even write any stats for this game because they got smacked so bad. I didn't even waste my time, bro. I know Zeke was killing, finally, back on track.
Well, I mean, for Dallas to win, that's what they need to do. They need to give the ball to Zeke.
Yeah.
They have to.
So
I think he had the ball about 25 times or something like that, and they stopped letting Dak throw the ball, 40, 50 times? Because every time they did that, they didn't win.
Mm-mm.
So, but once again, I'm going to ask you guys, how good do you guys think the Cowboys are?
not good at all. Not that good, I say.
I mean, they're an all right team. They still have room to improve in different areas. I mean, we've seen in the past of different games that they're just not there entirely.
Yeah, they're not consistent. They're just there's so many question marks about why they're not playing to the level that that people thought they should be playing at. It's like inconsistency everywhere, offensively, defensively. I mean, we could look at the coach all we want, but sometimes it comes down to the players, and they've been a disappointment all season. Them and the Cleveland Browns. Well, I don't think the Cleveland Browns been a disappointment, but people that thought they were going to make the playoffs. But those two teams, if you look at the rosters, you see all the talent they have, and they just, I mean,
not using it.
Yeah, and that's a shame. I should get a coaching job from that.
Swell your roll.
I say the same thing all the time about the Cowboys, man. They need a clean house.
Yeah, they do. It was reported that they might be looking at Urban Meyer for a head coach, and Urban Meyer was at Washington, and Washington might be looking at him be a head coach. But I don't.
It could be a fit. It could not.
I'm not the biggest Urban Meyer fan.
Yeah.
I'm not an Urban Meyer fan at all. So if he goes to Washington, it's going to be a disaster, and I'm here for the disaster. I'm here for it. I'm here for the
trouble, man. Okay.
Hey, nothing would make me more happier than Urban Meyer in Washington, because that's just the headlines, man. It'll be
Getting it up.
All right, let's move on. And the Packers and the Bears. The Bears are the Bears. The
Packers. Yeah. They came. Produced a standout.
Man.
It was.
You ain't going to win no games having Trubisky throw the ball 53 times. You get 3 turnovers. That ain't happening.
He threw into a defensive lineman.
Man, like, come on.
And I don't understand the offensive strategies after they won back-to-back games, running the ball, getting Trubisky out the pocket, having him move around, and this game they just had him in there like a sitting duck. And if he has to think, it's like his mind is like all over the place. He can't really function well when he has to think.
Because they set him up just like they did Jameis Winston. He played well a couple weeks. Then you know what? Throw the ball 50-some times. You'll be all right. You see what happens. Caught a L.
Kind of now.
At least Jameis he became the first quarterback to throw for over 450 yards in back-to-back game in NFL history. But, yeah, I see what you're saying. And also the Packers didn't have a great offensive game. They didn't play well all around. They did enough.
Sullivan was the standout.
Yeah. And Aaron Jones, too. Aaron Jones, he made a few plays, but the Packers just made enough plays to win. And then the Bears, they just kicked themselves in the foot too many times. Granted, they tried to do the lateral and stuff. It almost worked, too. But I don't understand the Bears' philosophy in this, because you have that great of a defense, and this is the type of season that you put up. If I was a defensive player, I would be tight.
You know what I say, man? Common sense will win you more games than relying on your quarterback just the whole entire game. Like, because you can't give Montgomery 14 carries for only 39 yards and then expect Trubisky to win you the game throwing the ball 53 times.
I don't expect any quarterback to win any games throwing the ball that many times. It just doesn't work. That's just like in the NBA when you shoot like 63s. You're not going to win. No. You're not going to win. Houston.
But I feel like a dummy saying some of this stuff, though. Like, the world has noticed by now, the ball should not be in the air 53 times. Like, come on. I'm sorry. Like,
it shouldn't. But Sullivan, I mean, he showed up in every aspect. Just dominating the field, knowing where he needed to be.
Hey, he knew his role. Apparently, I don't know what everybody else was doing out there. I have no idea what they were doing out there. I just look at the Bears. There's so much talent on that team, and it's like this team should not be this bad. They should not be they should not be this bad. They should be in contention for the playoffs. They should actually be in contention for a Super Bowl. That's how talented they are. But, whew, man, I don't want to talk about that no more. I'm getting upset. All right. All right. Did you guys see? I don't know if you guys watched this 49ers Falcons game. The craziness of this game. The last couple minutes, the Falcons marched down the field. First, they took the go-ahead touchdown, but the ball hit the ground, so it wasn't a touchdown. Then Julio Jones, by like an inch, broke the plane, and they got the victory. And now this knocked the 49ers from
number 5 seed.
Dropped them down.
Wow.
It's a bad. They've been 3-3 since they started off 8-0.
I was gonna say they hit a rough stretch, and losing to the Falcons is tough though. But Matt Ryan played well, 25 for 39, 2 TDs, 210, no intos. So, you know,
people are gonna say, where was this Falcons team all season? That's the real question. Where was this Falcons team all season? Where was this Matt Ryan all season? Because it was a horror show in Atlanta for basically the entire season. They didn't even know if their coach was going to make it through the season.
Right. And even though the Falcons lost, I mean, they still can have a chance to win, the division and take the NFC.
Who?
The 49ers.
49ers.
Oh, I thought you meant the Falcons.
No.
Maybe they have two. They have two matchups, two tough ones. They got the Rams and they got the season finale against Seattle, which that's probably gonna be for the division crown right there. The season ender against Seattle. And speaking of Seattle, they went to Carolina. Carolina has already packed it in. They're ready for vacation. That whole team is ready for vacation. The defense is ready for vacation. Offense is ready for vacation.
Everybody ready for vacation.
They're ready to go. The way they've just man. I don't know what to say about that team.
Man, I was speaking highly of Kyle Allen, but I never said he was good. He's a game manager. Got no business throwing the ball over 40 times, and you wonder why he's the man that has 3 interceptions.
There's question marks with that team. Now, there's even more question marks.
We have a lot of questions for a lot of teams, as I can see.
Cam Newton just had his foot surgery. He's on his last year of the contract. Some say they should move on. Some say if you move on from Cam, where are you guys going to go? What direction are you heading as far as quarterback-wise? Because Kyle Allen and Will Grier,
Question. Who you care about more, Cam Newton or the Panthers?
Cam Newton.
So he needs to move because they don't even care about his body. It's like being in a bad relationship going back every day. Like, come on. You know you're going to get beat up. Just go somewhere else.
Hey, with this new GM, they might keep Cam Newton. They might keep him around because they're at the court. There's question marks on that split, but enough about them. Seattle, Russell Wilson, he's out of the MVP race, but he put together a solid game too. And this guy, DK Metcalf, this guy he's a solid young receiver. I think he just got to learn how to hold on to the ball because he had a few cases of the drops and the fumbles this season. But this guy, he's been making plays. Him and Tyler Lockett, I think that's his name, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
Right.
Those two are pretty good combination of receivers.
Russell, he threw for 286 yards, had 2 touchdowns. Carson, 133 yards and 2 scores. I mean,
I'm going to say balanced because Carson had 24 carries.
That's Seattle's philosophy, just being balanced. Their offense always being balanced, and that's what they need because if they have to go on the road, they could do that. If they have to go, if they have to go to Green Bay or that's probably the only place outdoor. Only cold place out of all the NFC teams to play outdoor. If they have to go to Green Bay, they can play outdoors. They can play indoors. They can play any style. So I think Seattle, it's got to be the coaching. Their play selection last year in the postseason was questionable, to say. So if they figure some things out, they don't do the same thing they did last year.
I feel like Russell might have more control over the offense this year than last year too.
Oh, definitely.
So I don't think they'll
improve so much.
Yeah, I don't think they'll call him calls. He'll probably audible out of him or tell him I'm not running that.
Yeah. You're right. He did. He definitely has improved so much, especially when you watched him. Each and every single year, it's always he got better at something. So
this was the season that he just shined.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson just outshined him. That's the problem.
This is true.
He'd be the MVP. Minnesota and San Diego. And LA Chargers. There was like a turnover fest going on over there because I think it was one time 3 possessions in a row. Chargers threw an interception. Vikings threw an interception. Chargers fumbled it. It gets returned for a touchdown. I think this happened on 3 consecutive possessions, and I was just like, well,
and the
fitting.
Vikings opened up with scoring a touchdown right away. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I don't know. The game was just weird. It's something about going to the West Coast.
My thing is there was 8 turnovers overall in the game. That's ridiculous. But everybody's talking so much about Brady. What about Rivers? He's had a crazy drop off this season. He's been
And I was going to say that too, of just the uncertainty of Rivers, and you know that his contract's coming up, and I think we don't know if he's going to be with this team or if they're going to sign him again until towards the end of December.
Or they might either tell him to retire too, like they're trying to push everybody else in to retire.
Hey man, he got 9 kids. I think he might be staying for a little.
I mean, I know he's gonna stay. He keep popping them out. My thing is though, you got to play better, or they're gonna talk about your age is affecting your game as well.
Yeah, he has 21 touchdowns and 18 interceptions on the season. I think Jameis has more interceptions than him. So Rivers has had an interesting season. He's definitely had an interesting season. So
that's a problem. You're considered. He might go in. He's gonna go in the Hall.
No.
All right, not stat wise at all.
No.
All right. Well, you're supposed to be
maybe Chargers Hall of Fame.
It may be that, but you're supposed to be. I want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, because I was gonna call him legend, but he ain't that.
No.
Just a pro's pro, man.
Legend before.
Yeah, just
almost there,
just
but
a pro.
not,
Yeah, when you have a
not
Danian
there.
with you. Well, the pro's pro, and there's no reason why you should have just as many intels as a guy in his 3rd, 4th year.
Yeah, and also for the Vikings, Dalvin Cook went down with a shoulder injury, so we might not see him for a little bit. That shoulder injury was pretty serious the way he went out. He was having a good game. They're gonna need him against Green Bay this coming week because this is another big game. Division game.
Man.
Got a chance to have the number ones to take control of the NFC North, and you need everybody because Adam Thielen just came back from the injury from a hamstring, and now your best all around player is out. So it's like, man.
And Boone ain't gonna do it for you. He might get you them short yardage touchdowns and short yardage games, but he's not gonna break one out for you.
All right, and the Texans. This is like the least talked about division is the AFC South. These guys. I don't know. I can't say much about this. I can't say much about this division, but Texans and Titans. This was a game that I don't think anybody wanted to tune into, but they were fighting for the number one, the top seed in the AFC South, and Texans went up 14-0, and then it was tied at some point. This game was just all over the place for me. I couldn't deal with it.
I didn't watch it.
I don't blame you.
So
I don't blame you.
Watson played all right though. He needed to cut off the turnovers though.
You didn't want to tune it on. You didn't want to watch it at all.
I don't know what I was doing. I was busy.
This is why I say I can't.
And
I can't take
man
Houston.
who told me that he fell asleep during halftime for the Saints game. So
It was 20-0 though.
Thank you.
Boom. Did you watch this game?
I watched my Saints.
But you didn't watch the Titans and the Texans.
Moving on.
Clearly, we don't care about either of these teams. Texans could kick rocks. Tennessee,
Kick
whatever.
boulders.
Yeah. All right. Last NFL update. Chiefs. The Chiefs have a chance at the number 2 seed if they win out and the Patriots lose. They made light work of the Denver Broncos. Patrick Mahomes was out there in the snow running around like a little kid, and Denver just didn't show
look
up.
at all that snow.
Yeah, it looks fun, doesn't it? But Denver, I don't know.
It's 23-3.
Did anybody think Denver even had a chance?
Denver thought they had a chance.
I don't know.
Denver thought they had a chance, but there was. Anyways, we're going to move on because I don't even want to talk about this
Well,
game.
that was our NFL.
This was our NFL update. There's a lot. The
Going
next
on.
couple of weeks, there's 2 games left in the regular season. Then we got the postseason. Some teams, if they win out, they get a bye. Some teams, if they win out, they get a higher seed or whatever. But everything's unfolding.
And there's still time, and one team can switch it up.
And with all that, we didn't even talk about the Cleveland Browns and how they said they're going to keep Freddie Kitchens as their head coach.
I thought it was too hot for him in the kitchen.
Huh?
It was time to get out.
I don't know.
Apparently.
Feel the heat.
All right, we're gonna go to Athletes Corner, and I was at Lynn Classical last week, so they had their season opener last Friday and beat Salem 56-59. So this was before that. So they had supposed to have a game yesterday, got canceled weather-wise. So here's Athletes Corner with Lynn Classical Hoops. All right, we here, Lynn Classical. Year 3 for this guy right here.
That's right.
The juniors here, the backcourt, the leaders. What's going on, fellas?
What's up?
All right, so talk to me. You guys just went through a crazy practice. I see it aside. I didn't want no parts of it. But tell me, how's that going to get you guys ready for Salem on Friday?
Well, we're not having a lot of time compared to usual, with the Thanksgiving being a week later. Then we had 2 snow days off the bat, so that was an extra 2 days pushed back. So we just got to, get as prepared as we possibly can for Friday. So that means the practice is going to be looking like this.
All right, and for you guys are going to be looked at the leaders. You guys lost Darrell. You guys lost a few key players from last season. How have you guys been taking this role? How have you prepared yourself for this role for this season?
Just we got to, listen to Coach, and he knows what he's talking about. So once we listen to him, everything can flow and everybody on the team can flow with us.
Mm-hmm. For you, Jeff?
It's just what he said. We got smaller guys this year, so we're gonna have to run, play hard defense, play with toughness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we try to do in practice. So when the game comes, we're ready.
Mm-hmm. Can you guys both tell me what are the strengths for this team? How this team's gonna look? What's something that you guys know that a lot of teams are gonna have difficult when they go try to guard you guys?
We're a great shooting team. In transition, we know how to look for our shooters, and that's gonna be real tough this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna move the ball well. And we do have a lot of shooters, young guys, that we expect to step up this season and knock down shots.
Right. Coach, for you, who are some of the other guys that you're going to be looking in to fill the roles as other starters and other guys coming off the bench?
Well, there's a ton of guys. I mean, Brandon Summers is going to have a bigger role this year. He didn't get a lot of time last year, but he's definitely ready to step up. Another one, Jaden Thornton. He was mostly on JV last year, but he's a really good shooter. He's going to help us out. And Angel Garcia, he's going to be our starting big. He was a starting big on JV. He had a huge summer, so he's going to really help us out this year as well.
All right, and you talked about it. This scheduling-wise, it was kind of weird that you guys got so little time together because usually it's like a couple weeks you guys have with each other, but now it's like you guys had last week or 4 days last week, and now you got 3 days this week.
Yeah, we missed that extra week, and then those couple days on top of it. And I mean, I haven't really asked these guys, but for me, it feels like a whole different season, compared to the previous couple of years. It felt like there wasn't even any time to think this year. It was just one day after another, and all of a sudden, boom. First scrimmage was last Saturday. Last Friday, we ended tryouts. So.
And for you, Jeff, you was just coming off football too, so it's like it's just right back to the mode for you. You really didn't get a little break to yourself.
I didn't.
So you kind of used to that by now since you're a junior?
I'm used to it. Yep.
Yeah. So what are some things we should be looking out for you personally that you worked on that you're going to showcase on the court?
My passing abilities, my handles, getting to the basket, because I know my shot's going to be there, so I'm trying to be able to do other things.
Jeffrey, you've been playing all summer. You've been tournaments and leagues, and a lot of guys around the city. You guys have just been playing together. How kind of that has helped prepare you? Because it seemed like there's a lot of kids in Lynn that kind of put themselves through the summer to get ready for the season. How was it just working with other kids in the city?
It helped me communicate a lot, figure out a lot of things and figure out my role and figure out what I can really do. And me just being in little tournaments, playing against better players that are better than me, so helping me improve my game, All
right, what did you two take away from Darrell last year, his leadership from last year, some of the things he did? What is something that you guys learned from him being behind him or just playing along with him?
he never talked back. That's one thing. Darrell never talked back. And once coach says something, you know, he'll always do it. And it was never, you know, like a back and forth with coach, nothing like that.
Yeah, he always played hard. He was the hardest player on the court through both teams, always. He was a short guy. He still managed to get his rebounds, box out. He scored when we needed him to, and just came up big.
All right, so Friday, you guys got Salem.
Yep.
So they was a pretty good team last season.
Yep,
Tell me a little about them. Do you know study much?
I mean, year in and year out, even when they're not supposed to have a good team, they're always tough. They always play hard. You know, they most of the time they can shoot it. They play a really good 3-2 zone, so it'll be a good one. It'll be tough for us, for that opener.
And you guys got scrimmage tomorrow?
Yep, we're at Woburn at 4 tomorrow.
All right, so by the time this come out, they've already played. But next week, tell me your schedule next week.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. Next week, we got Winthrop. We're at Winthrop Tuesday, and then we are at Somerville Friday.
All right.
Yep.
So when this come out, they've played 2 games already. So good luck to you guys on the season, man. I'll be here Friday, and hope you guys make a deep run this year.
Yeah.
Lowell got you guys the past 2 years. You guys gotta get over them.
Hopefully we can get over that hump.
All right, guys.
Appreciate that.
No problem. You can take it easy.
All right.
Yo, raise up, 1, 2, 3. Ready, 1, 5, 6.
And we're back. And they got a game tomorrow. There's a lot of games tomorrow. We're about to talk high school hoops in a second. So we're about to talk Celtics right now with my main man, Josue Pavon, Celtics reporter. So here's Plus One interview. Welcome to another edition of the Plus One interview, and we got my man Josue Pavon. He's back with us. Josue, what's going on?
Hey, man.
How you enjoying this weather?
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. Not quite blizzard day, but you know, it's still enough to derail things. You know.
I hear that. All right, we got 5 minutes with you, so we're gonna talk about this stretch for the Celtics so far. They've been a lot of people have been surprised about how well they've been playing. I'm one of them. I knew they were gonna be good. I thought it was gonna take a little time, but these guys have been playing really well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're playing, very together, very close knit. You know, even when guys aren't on the floor, they're on their feet, cheering on their teammates, and it's been great. You know, all that, camaraderie and that closeness you're seeing on TV you're seeing the same thing in the locker room. You know, I don't think this is something that's being forced or manufactured or anything like that. I think this is organic. You know, and this is going to be a very fun team to watch moving forward.
Yeah, they're very competitive too. It seems everybody on that team is really competitive. One thing about this team that really surprised me is how well they shoot the 3-ball, because that was kind of a question mark for me coming in, is how well they would shoot the 3-ball. But you got Marcus Smart; he's been shooting it very well. Kemba kind of started off a little slowly, but he's picked it up. And Jaylen Brown, he got the contract and he's having himself a career year.
Yeah, it's funny because Jaylen Brown, you know, we've seen flashes of that before, of how efficient he can be from behind the arc. But last season, he sort of took a step back in that statistical category. But now, I mean, the guy's shooting 50% from the floor overall. I mean, that alone is impressive when you consider a lot of those jump shots and where he's shooting from and how many three-pointers he takes a night. So it's been impressive. You know, he's been sort of the main beneficiary of those open looks when guys are collapsing on Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker. And he certainly capitalized on those opportunities.
He's also doing a great job attacking the rim, because he's getting to the line a little more this year.
That's what I love about his game the most, McCullough. I love that. You know, the way he's able to pick his spots and know when to drive and when to pull up that three-pointer. You know, that confidence has just been through the roof when it comes to Jaylen Brown. I think a lot of it had to do as well with, of course, what happened with Team USA and, of course, heading into the season, that momentum moving forward. You just saw another level of confidence in his approach. But it certainly has a lot to do with what happened last month. I mean, I don't think that's, or a couple of months ago, I don't think that's something that we can downplay or say that, you know, it's just a small contributing factor. that big contract, you know, it's not only the figures we're talking when it comes to Jaylen Brown and how much money he's making now or how much money he's going to make after this season, but it's also the commitment, right? The commitment from the organization, the message sent from them to Jaylen saying, like, look, you're not a role player for us anymore. You're a pillar for this team. You are part of this core. You are someone that we are investing in. You are a main piece moving forward for the next 3 or 4 years. And I think that spoke volumes to someone like Jaylen Brown, who wasn't always sure about what his role was last year.
A lot of people thought that was a bad contract for the Celtics, too, for giving him that much money, but he's actually showing that he's actually worth it now that he's actually getting a little more, he's getting more possessions to actually showcase more of his game because he didn't get that chance last season.
Oh, for sure. And those naysayers or the ones that are doubting him, whether he's worth that kind of money or not, they could be biting their tongue in a couple of months when we're talking about all-star selection. I mean, that's how good he's been. That's how efficient he's been for the Celtics team. If he can keep that up, I think no question, you know, him along with Kemba and Jason Tatum, we could see potentially three all-stars representing the Celtics come all-star weekend. That would be something special.
Just a couple minutes left. Quickly, just talk about, all right, size is a problem for this team. We saw it against Philadelphia. And also, is Gordon Hayward one of the unluckiest players ever? Because I swear the injury bug, something always happens to him.
Yeah, he hasn't had much luck in that department, in that category, man. It's been tough. You know, that stretch of games that he put together to kick off the season. Talk about seeing the best from Gordon Hayward since he signed a contract with the Celtics. That was it. You know, how he was able to just do a little bit of everything for the Celtics. Luckily, hopefully, I should say, he won't suffer another injury, you know, in the near future or so, because I think that momentum, he's going to pick that right back up. You know, I just think he's so important to this team on both ends of the floor, not only as a scorer, but also as a secondary facilitator. And it's for the bigs. You know, you look at the way these guys were committed to defense, you know, sort of just everyone holding each other accountable, especially throughout that second unit. I mean, that's the biggest thing I think that's so important for that second unit. You know, obviously they're not going to put up a lot of points. You know, we've seen that. You know, of course, Enes Kanter had something to say about that last Thursday against the 76ers. But, of course, you know, aside from that, they're the one of the lowest scoring second units in the NBA. But they defend at a really high level, McCullough. And I think that's what's going to make this team as strong as we've seen them, you know, throughout that stretch, throughout that winning streak before it was snapped. And I think that's going to be the most important. You know, everybody just holding each other accountable. And for Brad Stevens to look at guys like Brad Wanamaker, Shemi Ojale, you know, those two, I think, in particular, anchor that second unit. And, of course, there's the guy who I think is the unofficial captain of the team as a whole. That's Marcus Smart. You know, it's kind of easy to forget what this team is without him. You know, you put Marcus Smart in that situation Thursday night, we could have seen a different result. You put him in that game against the Pacers, same thing goes there. But so without Marcus Smart, I think these guys can really learn a lot about themselves. But I'm not necessarily concerned about the big man, the quote-unquote big man that everyone is sort of drooling over, but no one can give me a name as opposed to someone who could come in and help this team right now. So I'm not completely ready to say this team has to or desperately needs a secondary big man to help them out. I'm still going to wait it out, and let's see how this team looks by mid-January before we start talking about, you know, bringing in another big.
Definitely. And before we get out of that quickly, just tell them where they can find you, social media, all that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Check me out on Twitter at Joe_Sway. That's at Joe_Sway. You can also check out my reports from the Garden at the end of every single home game on YouTube at CLNS Media. And, of course, check out CLNSmedia.com.
And also he hosts a podcast with Cedric Maxwell, too, co-host.
That's right. I didn't want to say it all, but you know what? Thank you, McCullough. I appreciate that shout-out, man. It's been a really good, really fun, entertaining podcast, guys. Please check it out if you haven't. That's the Cedric Maxwell podcast. You can check it out on all podcasting platforms where you can stream us, man. Check us out.
All right, man. Thank you, man. You have a great one. They back out on the court tomorrow against Dallas in Texas, so we'll definitely catch up with you probably after All-Star break. So have a good one, man.
Sounds good, McCullough. Appreciate it.
Yep. All right. You guys been watching Plus One. We'll catch you another time. And we are back. All right. Quickly, before we get to the top 10 plays, we didn't talk about the college football playoffs last week, so the the top 4 teams have been named: LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma. LSU and Oklahoma will battle.
LSU.
Then Clemson and Ohio State will play. Last time Clemson and Ohio State played in a tournament game, it was pretty bad. Clemson ran them out the building. This might be different because Ohio State is probably one of the most talented teams in the country.
I actually want to see that LSU Oklahoma game. I want to see how Mr. Hurts is going to go up against what's his name, Burrow?
Yeah, and that's going to be a track meet. Because both teams don't play defense.
Right.
Burrow. Oh yeah, Burrow won the Heisman Trophy, which didn't surprise a lot of us. But Ohio State, man, this team is. Clemson is. People are sleeping on Clemson. I will not be surprised if Clemson won.
They're gonna wake up when they see this game,
especially if you've seen how they've been playing the past couple weeks. I would not be surprised if they ran through everybody again. I won't be surprised if Clemson does because they got so much talent everywhere,
and they're conditioned for the tournament, the playoff, I would say. So they know how to win.
Also, a little nugget: Jalen Hurts is the first player to play in 4 straight playoff games to play with 2 different teams. Alabama, Oklahoma.
Well, no, reality, the playoffs only been around for, 5-6 years? So that's a great stat, but nobody really cares.
He was just trying to drop some knowledge.
Oh, no, it wasn't nothing towards Mook. I'm just saying, the league the tournament ain't been around long enough to have all these stats.
Yeah, and also today was players were signing their national letters of intent for college. There was a lot of players signing. It was when Emmitt Smith's son's going to Stanford.
Okay.
Ohio State got another top recruit coming in.
Of course.
Alabama, I think, got the #1 recruiting class. Yeah.
I'm kind of iffy about Emmitt Smith's son going to Stanford because Barry's son went there, and that boy barely saw the field.
Yeah, Jerry Rice's son went there, too, I think.
What happened to him?
I don't know. I don't know what Clemson.
They need to go to small schools like their daddies did.
Florida wasn't that small school.
I ain't talking about him. I'm talking about Jerry Rice.
All right, let's go
wait, I just want to ask this question about, different players that are very talented, of them going to a historically black college compared to going to a predominantly white institution. But if he could go to a HBCU, like Cam Newton's brother, he gets all his playing time over there.
He's transferring out.
Okay.
They don't get to.
But what are your thoughts on that?
I think it would be great. It would be great if a lot of the top athletes went, because there was a time where a lot of the top athletes in the country went to HBCUs for football, especially for football. There used to be NFL scouts at HBCUs in the 70s a whole lot because that's where a lot of the talents are. But I don't know. I can't explain it, but it has to do with money and exposure.
I mean, I'm on Mook's side. I think it's dope. I feel like that these other schools get so too much TV time that the HBCUs get the same amount of time. They're all colleges. I don't understand why certain conferences are better than the other when it comes to TV contracts and things of that nature. And it shouldn't matter where you really go to school. They all should get the same support.
And we've seen lately in the NFL, there's been a lot of guys from HBCUs that's been making impact in the league. Right. So, I mean, you got a guy, I think, what's his name? Tyler Montgomery from Chicago. He's had an impact. There's been impactful players from HBCUs. I mean, Walter Payton through history, Shannon Sharp.
Just a lot of people don't realize that they are products of HBCUs, and it doesn't really matter what school you go to. It matters what you do on that field.
Steve McNair. There's been a lot of great.
Some of the greatest football players of all time came from HBCU or just small schools in general.
And those guys at the time, I think HBCUs were the only schools that would give it, especially the guys from the South, because all the things that were going on back then, they chose HBCUs because of the what was going on in society at that point. But yeah, you're right. I think if one top 2 recruit goes there, maybe he could open up a flood wave or something like that. But it just takes one to do it. So we're still waiting. I would have done it, but maybe if I have a son, I'll send it to you. we're going to get back to the HBCU. But first, let's give you some high school hoops highlights. So we got 3 highlights for you, 2 from St. Mary's, 1 from Lynn English's season opener against, what's these guys' names? Saugus. So we're going to highlights, and then we'll talk about some more HBCU when we come back. Yeah. All right. So that was English against Saugus. That was a blowout. Next we got St. Mary's and New Bedford from last night. I was there. This was a game, got a little competitive at some point, but both teams came out cold in this game to start off. So here's St. Mary's and New Bedford. We back, and then one more from St. Mary's Sunday. They played against Drake It. I went blank. Drake It. Drake It, if you all know, beat St. Mary's in the state tournament last year. So they had a little payback. This game wasn't close, but here's the last one. All right, we got a few minutes left. Back to the HBCU. We had a nice little discussion about HBCUs and top players in the country going to those schools. And yeah, I honestly think this is
it's just time for HBCUs to be acknowledged of who they produce, from doctors to scientists to athletes. HBCUs are amazing. I'm a product of one, Xavier University in New Orleans, and we just need to acknowledge them more.
Yeah, you're right. Because HBCUs, they need all the attention that they can get, because the Department of Education does so little to actually, help the HBCUs as far as funding and all that. So, I mean, hey, I've never went to a HBCU. Well, I've never went there for school. I went
for their functions.
I went to functions of HBCU, and my goodness, that's a story for another day that we could talk about. But yeah, HBCU, if you utilize it properly, you can make something out of yourselves. I mean, there's a whole lot of people that we could look at that's made themselves, turned themselves into billionaires, or just made themselves wealthy just from going to HBCUs.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really recruit me much, so I'm wondering why they didn't reach out. I might not have been in the right region to get looked at.
The complexion too. Yeah.
I went to St. Mary's too, so they probably was like, nah, we ain't dealing with me too Brian Gumble-ish. Wrong. Regular.
All right, we about to get out of here. I just got some quick notes before we got out of here. Sheeta Ellis, 2020 Olympics. She's Olympic bound, 2020. So Lynn has somebody representing Lynn in the Olympics of 2020. Josh Gordon, he's suspended indefinitely for violating NFL's PED and substance abuse policy, which is very, very sad for him. Also, I want to give a little condolences to my man Jairo. His mom, Carmen Cuevas, passed away. Everybody that knew Carmen, nothing bad. You won't hear anything bad about her. She was a nice lady to everybody, especially all of Jairo's friends. So, I mean, shout out to my man Jairo. Keep your head up. And also this guy, hey, talk to this guy about a raffle, because he's got raffles.
Where the camera at, man?
He's got raffles.
Yeah, we raffling off MacBook, 55-inch television, cash prize for the Lenningers Bulldogs, both girls and boys basketball team. Come support 10 Buckaroos.
Yeah, and Alana, what you got? What's happening with you? Chilling? All right, she got nothing to say. This is our last. See you guys.
Happy holidays.
We'll see you guys in 2020. We won't be on for another 2-3 weeks. This was our last episode of the year. I want to thank Alana for being here once again. This crazy man.
Humbug.
We want to thank all our guests that watches. We want to thank all the guests that come through. We want to thank everybody that follows us. All the people that see me in the streets and tell me that they watch the show. We appreciate it. You guys make the show what it is. And hopefully 2020 we'll be back bigger and better than ever. And yeah, that's it. Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys see my shirt. Jill Scott and Chill. Get out of here.